like what you just said, that it's not accidental. There was one quote that I just want to read, just about the precision of how things were designed, and this is just facts. I'm not opening the Bible. I'm just giving you facts. The Earth is about 150 million kilometers away from the sun, rotates on its axis once every 24 hours. 75% of the planet is made up of water. One describes the sun as being so powerful that it would burn everything on the Earth.
Yeah.
However, some people say we are lucky to be protected by the ozone layer, which is about 20 to 40 kilometers above the Earth's surface. The ozone layer protects us from the dangerous ultraviolet rays from the sun. It would appear that man is lucky to have evolved on the one planet that would be able to sustain life. Just looking at just the precision of things, because if you just want to throw intelligence out the window, I think one question that I throw out is, how do we know that the Earth won't go closer to the sun or further away? Because I may be exaggerating a little, but any inches, I'm fair to say, or centimeters, the Earth either gets too hot or too cold. Just how precise that these measurements have to be for everything to work in such precision, for someone to just say that happened without any kind of intelligence present is not very intelligent, to be quite frank. Just to say that just happened just randomly, or to take any kind of intelligence out of that equation, where just observing at these truths is like, how do you explain that?
Right. Yeah, it seems so unlikely for it to just happen the way it is. And even for, as it's been stated before, if the Earth is, so many years old, which is reasonable, like if we're looking at different portions of science, like you can track so much with carbon dating and the research that we have, but you can't know for certain how it happened.
Yeah.
Like we don't have that, and so I think it brings us to align our knowledge in the sciences and social sciences and the histories with faith or lack thereof. And even lack of faith is still a faith. Like you are deciding to have faith in something that is not faith, which is fascinating to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just making just these basic observations, it's like it should cause you to question, And so that's kind of what I want to like prick at people, just to think, just like you said, ask that why question. And so I try to make the point that these mathematical laws and principles, they can't be derived from man.
No.
Because I think even if you are an evolutionist or an atheist, you would clearly say the universe came before man. So the universe was already obeying these mathematical laws before any human was present. So clearly math cannot be a product of humans. And then if you were to say it's a product of nature, it's like, no, that math resulted in the nature, not vice versa. And like I said, I gave the example of the video game. And so I'm trying to just take the readers through just that logical progression, that if it's not man and it's not nature, what's your other alternative? It has to be a supremely intelligent being.
Right.
And because I argue from a biblical worldview, I say that being is God. And I try to be fair and balanced, because nowhere does Scripture say God created math, but God is referred to as what? The creator. And again, anything that is created uses some element of what?
Right. And if God knows all things, like if we are really taking heed in that, he literally knows everything. And even to think about, the relationship between math and nature, well, there are trillions and trillions of cells in any organism. Well, not any organism, but like a tree.
Yeah.
If you think about how complex a tree is way more complex than like the tallest building that you can think of in Raleigh. Or any building is so much more complex, and you're not going to see filing cabinets in the corporate offices multiplying. Like cells literally split and multiply, and that you just don't see that with things that we make.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue that we pass down life through our generations and families, but we don't even orchestrate that. You know, people get pregnant by accident all the time.
Yeah.
And even when people are trying to get pregnant, they don't. And so there's got to be something else. There's got to be something, whether it is God or what people would call a higher power, there's got to be something else driving all that we know of life.
Because, like you said, just the complexity. Take any invention that man has created, the computer, just the complexity of that. It pales into comparison to the complexity of the universe.
Right.
So what man would have to concede is that there's someone far more intelligent than me. And man won't do that. But just look at the evidence of the universe.
Right.
Everything that we see, number one, was created, and number two, used math. And like, look, this table, I don't know the circumference or whatever the case is, but anyone constructing this table has to use some aspect of math to create it. Just anything that you see, this building, these chairs that we're sitting in, the only thing that we kind of deny that with is nature. Why? Because man didn't create it. You know, and so it would be relinquishing that I am not supreme, that there's someone far more intelligent than I am, and sinful man will have none of that. And so what I argue is that this person is God, and you were talking about this before, and I wanted to make mention of this, just because so many people, I think, don't know how to think, and I don't mean this as a shot, just thinking abstractly, because people will say, yeah, I can see a number, you know, and they'll start writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but no, that's a symbol that represents an abstract concept, because abstractly you can understand it, but you've got to write it down so you can ascribe a symbol to this concept, because math, it only exists in your mind. And when I was doing my research, someone made just a really great point. They said, you know, I can tell you where a lion is. You know, lions in Africa, lions, I think there's lions in South America, I don't know, wherever lions are. I can tell you geographically where to go and find a lion. But you can't do that with math. Math is present wherever any mind is.
Right.
And so if math did not come from the mind of man, whose mind did it come from?
Right.
And so I point to scripture and I say the psalmist says, how great are your works, O Lord, your thoughts are very deep. And this is Psalms 92:5. I also quote another psalm that says, how precious are your thoughts, O Lord, how vast the sum of them. And so if God has a mind, it's not beyond the pale of comparison to believe that math originated in his mind. And so that's the point that I start making, and I start arguing that math is not what from man, math is not what from nature. And I continue to try to make this point. And so I say, this is the thing about math. Math is universal. Math is immutable. Math is absolute, and math is abstract. And I kind of elaborate this on a little bit more. I say math is universal because it applies everywhere. 2 + 2 is the same in America as it is in China. Math is immutable because 2 + 2 equals today as it did yesterday and will tomorrow. Math is absolute because 2 + 2 does not usually equal 4, rather it always equals 4. And number 2, math is abstract because it is not perceived by our 5 senses, rather it is perceived only in the mind. And so the point that I'm making that these are the attributes of God.